All right, so what you just saw is another very good example of how smart people, right, looking at the opportunity, picking what is existing, and even going with the big guys, right? So don't be afraid to go against Adobe, because they're, I mean, I can talk for hours about that, because there are things that they don't care about, and there are things that they don't get. And so long as we're small companies, well, that's fine. We make 100 million, that's okay. They don't care, right? 100 million is so small. So now, what I'm going to finish my talk, and then I think we should have maybe 10 minutes left, and I'd like to run a small panel, if I may. Seems like there's a lot of questions. I will bring the presenters up, and we will ask away until we. So what I want to finish tonight is, you have seen my business. You've seen Les's implementation of Salesforce.com, how it's changing, using the tablet to change the way people sell. You've seen Jason and Ben's solution of how to help people read on the iPad. Now, all these tie back to what I call the smart enterprise market. 4 years ago, so more than 4 years ago, 2008, May of 2008, I put a blog post on Tech Republic. It's a small blog. You can look it up. And I say 80% of IT infrastructure will be in the cloud by 2015. Back then, people say I was an extremist, that's never going to happen, blah, blah, blah. But now, look at what happened today. What Les's company does is embracing the cloud. Now, Salesforce is in the cloud, using cloud as component. If you were around in the 90s, we were developing, application developers were using Visual Basic components, right? Some of you may not like it, some of you may not be born. But at that time, the industry was using Visual Basic component. VB was a great component architecture that someone can build a component, put it up there, you can buy it, you can put it together. A lot of businesses using Visual Basic. Nowadays, this whole infrastructure is in the cloud. Look at Les's solution, using Salesforce.com, using DocuSign, using, what's the other one? Chameleon. Right. So all those are basically cloud-based, and we glue them together using REST, OAuth, right? So all of these. And Ben and Jason, similar, using PDF, an existing solution, right, that we all put together. So the cloud sort of become the OS. And the component infrastructure sort of using REST-based, that you as a developer, you can now build something, open your API, all of a sudden people are using you as a piece to build a bigger solution. That's certainly what I'm doing. Now, another piece of the puzzle is this. In 2009, I put this into my business plan, and I said back then I said today, okay, today was 2009, remember. What I was solving was the field works problem. Where I came from was helping people in the oil industry, the medical industry, where they go out and do stuff. Now, back then, and even now, if you go to Target, they're still using these type of stuff. These kind of devices are expensive, and they're specialized. That was what happened back then, even in 2009 and before. Now, the other force that is coming in is what I call consumerization of devices. Okay, I know there's no such word, but bear with me. You know what I'm talking about, the iPhone, the iPad, the Android devices. Now, businesses are using consumer devices. Now, where I came from, we will support people like Shell Oil, and they all use specialized device. Like the government, they all build their own devices. I worked with Sun Microsystems way back in 1999, and they have a very specialized, unique device that does one thing very well. Now, nowadays, they don't need to, because the iPhone is so good, iPad is so good. So these two forces combined give us something very interesting. So the cloud being the infrastructure, being the OS, and the consumerization of device give us opportunity, us developers, opportunity to build something that is enterprise grade, right? Very, very cool, high-level software that we can now offer at very affordable, very flexible, and very agile. Now look at Ben and Jason's solution. They're trying to go against Adobe. Well, how can they do that? I mean, no matter how smart, how good-looking they are, they cannot compete with 100,000 developers. Well, yes, guess what? They can in this environment because they can charge less and they can move faster, right? So that is where we are, and I'm calling this. So now, backtrack a little bit. In the past, the business environment are separated into the two guys in the truck, the small business, okay? Amazingly, AT&T is still thinking that's the big business. And the Fortune 500, the enterprise market. Now, I grew up from the enterprise market and do the dancing on the enterprise sales cycle, and I hated it. Now, what we're now seeing is this brand new market in the middle. So, as Les, who is he selling to? He's talking to sales managers. He's talking to sales manager that says, hey, use fast. This can help you sell. He's not directly talking to the CTO. Now, way back when, we were starting from the CTO. We got to go find the CTO. We got to go to lunch, go to dinner, go to golf tournament with them, right? Or else you can't sell. Nowadays, it's different. Salesforce.com started this, and now everybody can do this. So that is the smart enterprise market. Right in the middle, what I'm calling this is, now, smart enterprise is not a size, unlike the used to be the enterprise and the small business. This is right in the middle. So I bet some people, some smaller businesses can buy Les's solution, right? Because it's relatively cheap. He wouldn't tell us how much it costs, but it's relatively cheap. It's not millions of dollars. Well, maybe it is, I don't know. But I'll use the other example, right? Ben and Jason's solution certainly is not millions of dollars, right? In the past, long time ago, if you need to publish a book, let's say a magazine, it's a lot of cost, right? Nowadays, with PDF, with their solution, you can do this cheap. So some smaller businesses can also embrace the cloud and embrace tablets and get into this market. And within big companies, you now have managers who their behind is on the line, right? They need to sell, they need to make sure they do their job. And they are now coming out and looking for these types of businesses or solutions. And so you have this brand new market that was never existed before. That is an opportunity. Now look, Intuit, right? So the small business king of the world, they sell to small businesses. QuickBooks, the tax solution, they have QuickBase, all geared toward small businesses. SAP, the king of all the big companies, right? Everybody uses SAP. Now, recently, what both of them have done is they acquired cloud-based companies. So Intuit acquired this guy called Demandforce, and they put up cloud-based solution. Same thing, and SAP also acquired Ariba. Same thing, they are seeing it. They're seeing the middle market. They're trying to get into it. So that's where we are. Now, what my definition of smart enterprise is that these are open-minded big businesses, but there are still a lot of enterprise who love presentations, who love RFPs, okay? We're right next to the biggest enterprise on earth, called the federal government. But the enterprise are changing. They're more, they're opening their mind, they're embracing cloud. Once they know it's scalable, it's secure, it's fine, okay? Your data is sort of already in the cloud in one way or the other. And then there are the forward-looking small businesses. You have small business who thinks they will get big one day and who want to understand how they can use technology to solve business problems. And they use, right, and I sell every day, right? So I talk to a lot of people, and you will see people's minds start changing. When I first started selling my product back in 2009, we hit more walls than now. So back then, people say, just no, if it's cloud, just don't talk. I need my data within my firewall. I need the server, right? Now, they're slowly changing. The visionary CTO and IT is appearing, right? So I'm not sure if any of you are in the IT role, right? I define IT by the people who set up networks, who reset passwords, who install upgrades, right? Those are the basic IT. Now that, I think, will disappear. And if you, as an IT manager, keep saying no cloud, and it has to be PC, I have to see it, well, guess what? The world is slowly changing, okay? So that's all I'm saying. There's a lot of opportunity ahead of us. So last year I presented in a college, and I told graduates that you are marching into a brave new world. Now, what I was referring to back then was the basic mobile market of the iOS, Android, and Windows. Now, what I'm saying right now is to you all, if you are starting a company, starting writing app, don't get bogged down with trying to build an Angry Birds, trying to build 4 squares. Fine, yeah, that's great. That's not me. I see a huge opportunity in the business world. Just think about it. In the last 20 years, every industry, every vertical, have some sort of apps, some sort of software that is PC-based, that is non-cloud, that is very expensive, right? Every day I hear people that basically say our solution solved 90% of the problem, but it costs 100, right? So it used to be $1 million, now it's just a few, like 10 grand, right? So that's what I want to end tonight, and we still have 10 minutes, so I will invite Jason, Ben, and Les up here, and we can have questions. You guys can ask away.